Hey, what's up guys, it's Darius, and this is a new series I'm calling Camera Battles. In this series, two smartphones battle each other in terms of camera performance. Modern smartphone cameras, however, have gotten so good, it's hard to objectively choose a winner. So that's why I won't choose a winner, I'll let you guys, the audience, vote. And to make it even more fair, I won't even tell you which one's which. The winner will be the champion and will have to defend its title against the next smartphone in the next episode. Also, the series is not about specs, numbers, or features. If a smartphone with 4 cameras, an 80 megapixel sensor, and hybrid laser autofocus doesn't take better pictures than a regular 12 megapixel single camera, then that doesn't matter. The series is only about taking the better image. In this episode, it will be the Galaxy S9 versus the Xperia XZ2. And again, I won't tell you which is which. One I'll call A and the other I'll call B. All images are of course unedited, and you find the full resolution samples linked below. So you can go check them out in more detail if you want to. Before we start, make sure you're subscribed and you've hit the bell to be notified every time I upload a new video. So grab a pen or open your notes app and let's have a look at the samples. In the first image, have a look at the colors and the white balance, as well as the vibrance and saturation. Moving on to the next image, this is a dynamic range test. Since the camera was pointed directly at the sun, make sure to look at the HDR, and as you can see, the results are both very different. In the next image, make sure to look at the difference in exposure, as well as how well it deals with both highlights and shadows, and also look at the sharpening, especially on the church tower. In this image of a burger, it's a great example of the colors and the saturation, as well as the paper underneath, which should be perfectly white, but the results are actually different. Moving on to an indoor shot, the first thing that comes to mind when you look at this image is the big difference in colors. We have a lot of red in this situation. Red is a color that cameras are known to struggle with, so they usually interpret them in very different ways. Here we have another indoor test, but this time this is a great example of the dynamic range. The foreground is pretty dark, while the background is extremely bright. It's a similar situation as in the image before, but we don't have any reds. Moving on to an outdoor shot, and this is a great example of how they deal with skin tones. It's a huge difference in the color of my hand, which is quite interesting because there's a little red in my hand again, so cameras deal with it in very different ways. Here we have an outdoor shot of a building on a cloudy day. This surprised me a lot how there can be such a big difference between the two cameras. There's a huge difference in exposure. Also make sure to look at the saturation, the dynamic range, and the sharpening. Moving on to the next image, we have a great example of the detail in the two. Make sure to look at the exposure and the white balance because the flower is supposed to be completely white. Also, have a look at how well it separates the flower in the foreground from the background. Moving on to low light examples, here we have a fairly typical example. It's an indoor shot. There's still a little bit of light coming in from outside, but it's pretty dark already. In this image, look at the different shade of white. Also look at the tint and the processing of the image. Moving on to the next image, here we're pretty much left with only artificial light. In this image, have a look at the sharpness, or rather softness, as well as the contrast, the saturation, and the tint. Lastly, this is an extreme low light test. This is a very hard situation for any camera. In this image, have a look at the brightness, as well as the tint again. Also have a look at the processing. I hope you've seen enough and you've made up your mind which of the two you think is better. If you haven't, go back in the video or check out the full resolution samples. Again, they're linked below. Make sure you vote for either A or B by clicking on the little I up here. Done? Good. I'll reveal the cameras now. A is the Xperia XZ2 and B is the Galaxy S9. Now, I'm guessing many of you already knew which one was which, but it may have come as a surprise for some of you. Let me know in the comments below what you thought. In my opinion, the Galaxy S9 overall took the better images. It's much better at exposing the image properly, also thanks to the very capable Auto HDR. The Sony has the more realistic colors, but in most cases I actually did prefer the more vibrant colors of the Samsung, although I did overdo it sometimes. The Sony sadly also tended to over-sharpen in some cases. In low light it's a tough one. The Samsung takes brighter images, which for the most part are better, but they have this weird processing going on that makes the image look soft. So it's hard to choose which one's better. However, again, as I said before, I don't choose the winner, you do. So that was just my opinion. In the next episode, the winner of this video will battle against the next smartphone. You can leave suggestions for the next contender below in the comments. Thank you guys for watching all the way up to the end. I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to smash the like button if you like the new series. Also leave me some feedback on it if I should improve on anything. Make sure to follow me on Instagram and Twitter. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell to not miss any of my upcoming videos. See you in the next one. Bye.